Albert Breer is the one who first kind of framed it that Rodgers isn't, hoping to get phone calls. He's not in that 41-year-old situation that 41-year-old quarterbacks, if they exist, find themselves in, which is hoping to get a phone call to have a team invite them to try out for their squad. They want to continue playing. He's got a choice. The Steelers and the Giants both want him. And I guess they're waiting on pins and needles, I might imagine, because Plan B is that next step is a Lulu. Sam Darnold's not an option. Daniel Jones is not an option. Those guys are off the table. Acquiring Geno Smith. Who knew? That's not an option because the Raiders beat everyone to that punch. So if Rodgers says no to somebody, then whoever gets that no, I guess, turns to Russell Wilson. And you heard from Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated yesterday saying the Steelers aren't particularly sold on running it back with Russ, letting Russ come back. And because there are some relationships in the building that still need to be solidified based on the way things ended last year.
The smelting didn't go up.
You know what? I was going to follow up on that with Albert, but he was choosing his words carefully enough to try and not to say what he was saying without saying the words that Russ rubbed people the wrong way over there. Because that is, as you know, a very third-rail subject when it comes to Russell Wilson, is how he's perceived in the building by his own teammates or his own coaching staff. And we all know what the Broncos eventually thought of him with Sean Payton, making him the largest dead cap hit in the history of dead caps. So they're waiting on Rodgers in Pittsburgh. And they're waiting on Rodgers with the Giants. And as I mentioned yesterday, if I'm Rodgers, I want to go to the Steelers right now. But he apparently has that option, and he hasn't taken it yet. As of now, fewer than 4 hours till the new league year begins. And Kirk Cousins lurks in this whole scenario, depending on what the Falcons do with him. But Rodgers is letting people wait, or he's making his decision carefully, or he's mulling it over carefully, or he's asking for something that we don't know about. There's an iceberg. We only see the tip, and we assume there's an iceberg when Rodgers is involved, as we all know. And me saying yesterday that if I'm Rodgers, I want to go to the Steelers, and that if I'm the Steelers, I want Rodgers. I heard from Steeler fans.
Oh, boy.
Hearing you.
Uh-oh.
This could go.
Yeah, I know.
Hearing you.
Good or bad?
Well, a lot of it. We don't want them.
Okay.
You know, we're the Pittsburgh Steelers. We don't want them. Or that's not a very Steelers-like maneuver.
They're very caught up on that type.
Never say never, but never.
Yeah, but last year's maneuver wasn't either.
That's correct. Or, trading a first for Minkah Fitzpatrick in the middle of the season like they did a few years ago. That was very un-Steelers-like. Or paying a wide receiver $33 million without having a quarterback plan in place.
The old Steelers would never do that.
That's kind of nuts.
They just churn through wide receivers there.
So they're good at drafting them.
Those days are over. The days of that are over. You still have a bridge to the past in terms of the same owners and the same coach. But right now, the way that things are currently set up, you need Aaron Rodgers to say yes. I mean, it's that simple. He had a $33 million a year wide receiver and no one to throw him the football. That's what we call bass awkward. And
a conundrum, if you will.
To make that straightforward, you need... That's what the Jets needed. They needed an adult in the room. Certainly since the previous situation, one of them was Zach Wilson, and the other one, his name Russell Wilson, didn't finish well and apparently isn't an option to run it back with. It's the same scenario, which is probably why Steelers fans don't want to wrap their arms around it, because It's following a game plan the Jets once upon a time came up with, and you don't want to follow a Jets game plan. You just don't want to do it. So I understand what Steelers fans are having issues with. And by the way, it wouldn't take long if this happens for the first drama to pop up. And as usual, it would have nothing to do with Rodgers and what he says or does. Because, I'd imagine he'd want to wear number 12. You know who once upon a time wore number 12 for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
The Blonde Bomber.
Is somebody who has on Fox
The Blonde Bomber.
said many things about Aaron Rodgers that were not complimentary. So I looked it up. The Steelers have 3 retired numbers. 12 is not one of them. So it wouldn't take long to find out Terry Bradshaw's thoughts on the matter. And so, but that's the stuff that we in the sports business, we crave. That sort of material.
How is Terry Bradshaw's number not retired?
Oh, the Steelers don't retire a lot of numbers.
Yeah,
period.
I know. It's Mean Joe Green.
I believe
Ernie
it's
Stoutner and Franco Harris. Just happened.
Right. They don't retire a lot of numbers.
Yeah, that's odd.
All they do is just send people to the Hall of Fame. That's the way that they handle their immortality.
True.
You know what I mean? They just keep sending people to Canton.
Yeah.
So, Big Ben will be next in that regard.
Yep.
And so, listen, we're all waiting and see how it goes. But clock's ticking, and I'm sure everyone wants an answer because Plan B needs to be jumped on immediately. If Plan A, Aaron, does not land. Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.